just wanted to give you guys an update on the PHEV battery reset. Yesterday I did my first EV Max test, first and last. I've decided that there's just too many variables when we do that to control. I figured if we had a set distance, the same road, the same, roughly the same temperatures and things like that, we would get the same results. But absolutely, you can't go by that. Lots of people are pointing out that the truest way would be, or a better way would be, amp hours in versus amp hours out at the end. What did we use on the trip? How far did we go? But you still have to take into account all those variables. So to me, whether it's a kilometer you're measuring or an amp hour, it doesn't matter. Was my original thought. There's still a lot of variables in there. So it's a good test to do just to see, hey, can we still crack 50 kilometers? Can we still crack 60 kilometers? Whatever. But you can't take anything to heart with those tests. So we may do a couple, just sit. You don't chase my deer away. They having babies right now. There's a deer over there. They come in here and they birth right in here amongst the houses because they know there's no bear, there's no other critters to get them. So, but the dog doesn't like that. But I like having little fawns running through the yard, eating the grass and playing. So you don't chase them away. Back to the car. There was a problem with yesterday's test as well, and that was that I wasn't getting anywhere near the 60 kilometer mark. I could tell that before we even hit halfway through the trip, and I was babying the car as much as I could. And what happens there is you're trying to coast more, and I therefore changed my driving style. I tried coasting a little bit further. What happens there is, next thing I know, I'm only going up to 40 and it's slowing down. I'm hypermiling just above 40 and slowing down. Coasting, which added a huge amount of time onto my trip yesterday. Probably spent an extra half an hour in the car because of that, and we still didn't get the numbers we were after. So you've got to take into account things such as inertia, coefficient of slip for all you physics guys out there, Was it because in the morning the pavement's a little tacky? I don't know. There's all these factors, and that is why maximum EV tests aren't going to show a definitive what's in the battery now versus what was in the battery before, and we know all of that. There are a million factors to take into account. Okay, what I wanted to say was, yesterday after we did the distance test, I charged the car again while I was working at the home office, and then I had to go out last night, do all the regular running around. And I did 22 kilometers, went back into town on the highway, so 105 kilometers an hour, 11 kilometers on the highway, and home, so that was 22 kilometers. Then I had to turn around, pick up my oldest daughter, go back to a baseball game across town, another 19 kilometers there and back, and the gasometer was still showing 8 kilometers. So we had a total of like 49 kilometers there, including highway driving. Now, normally in the last few months here, highway driving like that trip into town and back, I would have a real hard time getting 40 kilometers. I probably wouldn't get 40 kilometers. So if you do all the math, and you can look at the comments on the last video, there are a couple of guys in there, Thomas Yoon, who have done extensive replies with math, calculating amp hours over the last EV Max tests I did and all that. Fantastic stuff. They're all saying the same thing. Your amp hours are where they should be after the reset, and you are getting, if you do the proper calculations, you're probably getting close to 10 kilometers more, and that's what I got last night, was about 10 kilometers more with the highway driving thrown in. I've also had multiple requests for the paperwork that was done to the car. Well, I still don't have the paperwork, guys. I did promise I'll upload that, and I will. As soon as I get confirmation of what they're charging me and get all that paperwork given to me, I will scan it in and either put it on one of the videos or just make documents available from the site to a Gmail account or something. I'll give access to everybody. One way or another, you guys can see what they did and you'll have access to that paperwork. Also, in yesterday's video, I was questioning the trip screen in the PHEV Watchdog app. What happened there was I thought that the Watchdog app had stopped running, and I actually pushed resume instead of start recording, start a new trip. So it put all the data together, and I guess what happens when you do that is it just read whatever amp hours we were at then and put that as the start. So that was my mistake. It wasn't the Watchdog app. And we were missing some kilometers on there as well, which I didn't notice yesterday in the video. It didn't read 56 on the Watchdog app, it was reading 51. So that was user error, not Watchdog error. Also to note for you guys that are gonna go in and have your batteries played around with, they turned off my timers to do all of the battery work. So you gotta watch for that. I thought that having the battery reset would reset the system, but it didn't apparently. My timers were still in there, but they were shut off by Mitsubishi. So when I came home yesterday and plugged in, I started charging the car immediately, and I didn't catch that. So I don't know what I paid for the charge yesterday, but it probably cost me a bundle. I also had Andy send me some screenshots from the MUT system telling me exactly where Mitsubishi can find the information to reset my battery, and I went ahead and forwarded that information to Kyle, and I've requested that they go ahead and do the second reset to get my car back up to 40 amp hours. Kyle hasn't got back to me on that yet, so there'll be another update as soon as I hear from him on that as well.